Hey, what's going on, guys? It is a Wednesday morning right now, and for continuity's sake, I know that might not line up with the videos, but you got to keep in mind here. So I record most days, but not every day. So in actuality, this entire bodybuilding prep will have lasted a little over 15 weeks. I was a little mixed up there. My coach said we were going to prep it so many weeks out, so I kind of jumped the gun and I guess mentally started thinking I was in prep sooner than we were. But realistically, we actually started around 15 weeks out, which I think was just kind of poor planning on both of our parts, to be honest, because really 20 weeks of hard prepping is where we want to be. So I am having to approach things very aggressively right now because of that. I'm doing 45 minutes of cardio in the morning currently, and 45 minutes after I lift weights on the stair stepper. So that is what my cardio consists of right now. Workout volume's not a ton. I'm usually doing 6 exercises per muscle group, and the sets have been reduced, whereas when I was in my off season I was doing like 4 sets of everything. Right now I'm doing 3 sets of everything, and there's a couple movements taken out, so a lot less stress on my body. Now I initially excuse me guys, initially I wanted the workout volume to go back up, because the whole reason it went down in the first place was I started accumulating too many nagging injuries. So I made great progress and gains out of it, but I was accumulating way too many nagging injuries. But yeah, so I'm also kind of relieved the workout volume has not increased. And also I mentioned it to my coach directly, like, when are we gonna bump the volume back up, and he ended up like kind of just ignoring that. And I feel like he ignored that because it was a bit of a foolish thing to ask at the time. But things are definitely improving in this prep we're in right now. I'm a little frustrated today because we are attacking everything pretty aggressively, but now I'm starting to do my check-in and also text him my weight halfway through the week, and I am disappointed what my weight is right now. I've had a bunch of like weeks with like 5 pound jumps and stuff like that. I'm not exactly expecting that to continue at that rate, but I was only down 0.4 of a pound right now, and I think that should be at least a pound that I'm down right now. So I'm a little disappointed in that. You know, with the time we have allotted left, I don't know if he's just going to see something like that and immediately attack it with diet changes, because we don't have a ton of time to play with here. Now, if we had the extra 5 weeks like we wanted, basically what could happen is I could stall for a week and we could see if things pick back up, but pretty much give it an extra week before we are definitive with the decisions we make. Whereas right now I could see us, you know, just based on the time we have left, not being able to do that and sort of having to be reactive to the situation every week with my body. So that's what we're dealing with. And it's not like you wouldn't be reactive, you know, because if you're not changing, you got to make changes in the plan, right? If you're not changing physically, you got to make changes in the plan. That's probably a clearer way to say that. So yeah, that's the outlook you want to have with it. But I don't have a ton of time to play with, so we may end up making changes again right now, which is honestly, that will suck, because right now, like, I'm going to continue eating 6 meals a day throughout the entire process, but definitely the carbohydrate amounts have been reduced quite significantly. So we are down to 60 grams, 80 grams, and 100 grams of rice for meals 2, 3, and 4. There's no more rice throughout the day after that. Oatmeal in the morning, 20 grams. So basically nothing. If I'm crunched for time, I'll actually just cook the oats into my eggs, which sounds gross at first, but you actually don't even taste the oats, and it's just easier to eat it both more quickly. Now, for obvious reasons, I don't want to do that all the time, because I am hungrier and hungrier right now. So I don't want to do things that are gonna reduce the physical volume of food in front of me. I get it, it's the same calories and all that, but if I were to just cook the oatmeal separately with the water, that would be an extra physical amount of food that would be taking up space in my stomach. Where it's pretty much like, there's just the only difference there is the oatmeal is basically dehydrated in the eggs. So the oatmeal doesn't have all that water absorbed into it. But I want the oatmeal to have water absorbed into it before I eat it, because that's going to make it take up more space in my stomach. And there are receptors in your stomach that are going to start signaling off that you're full, just based on how actually full your stomach is, regardless of calories. So you don't have to hit a certain calorie limit to trigger being full, but if your stomach reaches a certain capacity with like just physical food volume, that'll trigger that full response. I mean, eventually it's going to be very hard to do that though, because it's like how much can you starve yourself before nothing makes you feel full. But this will carry me through most of the process. Just the last bit of the process, I would say, is time to white knuckle it. And I love using that expression because that's what it is. It's just going to be really hard, and the only thing getting me through it is discipline, nothing else. You know, whatever multitude of tips and tricks people have out there, I'm just going to disregard those. Nothing to do at that point. We're talking about getting down to such an unhealthily low body fat percentage that you can only stay like that for one day. So the back end of that process getting there, it's going to suck. No matter which way you want to look at it, there's no two ways to look at it. It's going to suck. Now you could make the overall process less difficult, but there's going to be very difficult parts. The way you could make it more difficult would be like doing excessive drops in diet and excessive amounts of cardio right off the bat, because it'll give you some like false feedback if you do that. You'll start dropping, like having big drops of weight right away, and people will be like, fuck yeah, look at all the progress, but it's not good, because your body, whether you think it is or not, no matter how drastic the change, it is adapting to that. So you will have like big initial drops, but eventually you're going to reach the point where those drops are no longer coming, and now your body's adapted to doing all that work, and you're going to have to do that much more to have continued progress. That's why it's usually best to do the lowest effective dose when it comes to anything, drugs or cardio, because you want just enough for it to work, not so much that you have an excess of it. There's diminishing returns on things. Eventually things are going to stop benefiting you as much as they initially did. Or you're going to do so much so quickly, your body's going to overly adapt to way too much work. And no one wants to be that guy that put themselves in a predicament where they're having to do 3 hours of cardio a day just to get in shape. That's way too much. 3 hours? 3 hours of your life? No. And this is coming from me, who, you know, I bulked up pretty hard, man, during this off season, and I'm having to hit the diet pretty aggressively right now. Is there going to be some muscle loss? Yeah, probably, but I got to make peace with that. There's nothing I could do. I mean, I've already made peace with that. I don't have that much time to play with, and I'm going to be that guy that I'm doing over 2 hours of cardio a day. So I'm saying 3 hours is a ton. I'm going to be over 2, but no, I got to be fair here. I'm like 5 weeks shorter than we planned to be on this. So I'm really having to play catch up in a lot of ways, but it's not so bad because I'm having a pretty decent time playing catch up at the moment. You know, we're already doing an hour and a half of cardio a day. You know, I don't think he's gonna bump each section of cardio up another 10 minutes, like morning and night. I think he might do like a 5-minute increase on both, at this point, because it would be kind of silly to make a drastic change to the cardio when I'm already doing so much. I might just need a little bit more. But that, another thing too, like with the stairs, so not only will it diminish your legs if you do them way too much, but also it's going to really beat up your knees. And I'm not actually feeling that a whole ton until it comes time for leg day. Then my joints don't feel like they're prepared for the shit I'm doing. And I've tweaked my knee actually the past 2 leg days. Not like tweaked it so much that there's a major problem. And I'm still able to finish all the lifts of the day, but it's bugging me. It's stopping me from going all out. I might be, I'm still hitting failure, but it might be the difference between me stripping a couple plates off of a leg press and just doing more reps that way. Because joint problems too, I've been beating my body up for a long time, so my body is in a good spot where it would want to break something. So I have to be very diligent to make sure I don't allow that to happen. And sometimes that's going to mean not going balls to the wall in the workout. And do I want to tear my pec and then not lift for a long ass time? Or do I want to just hit the brakes a little bit and make it the show day? I already got hurt one time and it took me out of a show. I don't want that to happen again. So, and if anything, this will be a good way to springboard into the next segment of my career with this, because even if this show does unfavorably, I'm going to hit like a really good rebound and be right back at it. And the significant amount of progress I was able to make over this past year, I think I'd be able to do that and more so with another year of off-season bulking under my belt. But I need to cut down first. I need to have that rebound period where my body's so lean, it's like a sponge. And then after the show, start reintroducing a bunch of calories so I can put on the most muscle I possibly can. And a lot of people even say that the entirety of your off season doesn't compare to the muscle gains you're making during that rebound period. So that is how effective a good rebound is. And I'm fully confident I'm going to navigate that very well. Like, I think after the show, at least my plan in my head, and I know every bodybuilder has a plan and then they fuck it up. But my plan here is after the show for a couple weeks, I'm going to eat out like once a day. That shouldn't be enough to ruin my physique. And it should be enough to just enhance me and keep me at bay. Because it's the guys that are binging for multiple days that they're putting on like 50 pounds after a show and they look like crap. If I could pilot that situation correctly, I could end up giving myself more progress than many of the others around me that don't have the wherewithal for it. It's hard too, because your objective was to do the show, so you just finished it. But really the objective should be getting bigger after the show. But people feel like the goal of doing the show is already over with. So now they're gonna stop being as disciplined with all the different aspects of their lifestyle. And now you're gonna see them start, maybe not declining, but they're not progressing very well at a critical moment. So they're kind of missing out on a lot of progress they could be made by being gluttons. Because once you blow that rebound, now you're having to like make adjustments and possibly even go into a little deficit just to get that bullshit off of you so you can start fresh. So it's just wasting time, really. It's just wasting time that could be spent just building up correctly in the first place. And I don't personally, I don't have time to waste. I'm 30 years old now. If I was like 22, I think for sure I would blow the whole thing. Things would get to me too much. I'd get stressed out. I'd probably self-sabotage. Those are actualities. But with the time I have left, the perspective I've gained through life, I can't afford to mess up right now. So I just got to keep trucking on forward. And just making the little choices that I can to separate myself from people around me. You know, it's a daunting feeling when you're old enough that people younger than you are bigger. Like when I was 17, I didn't really have to worry about that. Now that I'm 30, I sometimes think about the struggles of my life I went through that made me put lifting on the back burner, that have caused me to not be as far along as I should be with my progress right now. That's the kind of stuff that gets to me. But it doesn't get to me very much at all, just because I'm no familiar to the reality of that. I'm no stranger to the reality of that. So it's just something I have to deal with. And all I could do now is make the right choices going forward. So I can't say for certain how big I'd be if I did everything right. In my head, I have a vision of how much better I'd be. But in all reality, you don't really know. So all I could do is do everything I can to actualize my dream at this point going forward, and just let the pieces fall where they do. There's nothing more I could do. There's only so much you have under your control. And that's really, it's hard to actually internalize that, because people say it, but they don't really believe it on the inside. But really, you gotta be good at just separating yourself from the things you're not able to change. And what I am able to do is put in daily effort, not screw around, just try really hard. And if I did all that, well, then I didn't leave anything out on the table. Or I put everything out on the table by the end of it. Nothing else for me to give. So if things don't go favorably, I tried my best. All that is incentive to try and make my best better next time. And with that, you're probably going to progress more. Usually people that are very happy end up progressing more. I think cortisol is one hell of a hormone. And when you're constantly stressed, you're just releasing all of that into your body, and it's breaking you down. So making lifestyle changes that aren't even lifting specific is really the key there to continue progressing at a fast rate. You just want to be chill, nice and chill, and happy to be alive. That's when the best progress comes. Sometimes people are doing the perfect routine with the perfect diet at the perfect time, with all the perfect ingredients to it, and their body doesn't change a whole ton. And it's because they might be mechanically going through that routine, and they're very unhappy doing it. So how you feel about what you're doing does definitely play a role. You still have to try your hardest. I mean, that's the only way progress is going to come. But if you're happy while you're doing it, I can assure you there's more progress to come from that. So anyway, guys, hope you have a good one. It's very hot today again, but not as hot as yesterday now. So I'm not too bothered at the moment. About to hightail it to work in a minute. And yeah, hope you guys have a good rest of your day. See you on the next one.